Hey, good morning, mentors. First of all, I just want to tell you that I'm so thankful that you have chosen to be a mentor for our students, our virtual students. I'm just thankful that you've been very patient as well. We have created this slideshow for you that will just put everything into one place, our forms, our resources. Information about what it means to be a mentor and hopefully give you a little bit more detail, which will ease your heart a little bit about what you're supposed to be doing as a mentor. So, we're going to go ahead and get started. So there are three major platforms for virtual learning in our district. We have Lincoln Learning, which is, of course, young 5s through 8th grade. We have Michigan Virtual and Apex that are also, or that are 7th through 12th grade. So the general online mentor responsibilities, we are to create a positive experience for our online students. They are probably feeling super disconnected from us just because it's not normal for them to be learning. So we want to try to make this a positive experience for them. We need to contact students a minimum of once a month. We need to document two-way communications, and I'll explain that more later. We need to communicate with parents with student progress concerns, communicate with online teachers with concerns, progress concerns, communicate with your building principal with student progress concerns. So you want to make sure that everybody is in the loop about students who are really struggling. And then finally, we're going to be putting in grades at the end of the semester, and there'll be more communication about that. So don't worry about that just yet. So the mentor role for Michigan Virtual and Lincoln Learning is a little bit different than Apex. So for us, Michigan Virtual and Lincoln Learning, we are the communication liaisons, we are the progress monitors, we are the resource providers. And let's see what that looks like. So as a communication liaison, students will ask you questions and you need to kind of determine what they're really seeking out. So if it's content or procedures, that needs to be bumped back to their Michigan Virtual or Lincoln Learning teacher. So for instance, I don't understand this math problem. Well, have you contacted your teacher yet? Or I've been getting a lot of emails from parents. How do I submit my kid's work? Well, you need to contact the teacher but depending on the platform, there's different procedures, obviously, for posting things. And so, and between classes, different classes on Michigan Virtual versus different classes on Lincoln Learning, they will also have a specific way that they want you to upload things. So we can't really answer that question. So it needs to be put back to the person that can answer that question. Technology questions, that again goes to the platform, whether it's Michigan Virtual or Lincoln Learning or Apex. Well, Apex is a little different. Or if they're not hearing back from Lincoln Learning or Michigan Virtual, it could go to Sean. It might be something that's they're experiencing with our Chromebooks or whatever. And then finally, social emotional needs. Isabella Lopez is in charge of student supports for K6. Renee is responsible for 712, and we'll talk about social emotional supports in a minute. There are communication protocols down here for you just to kind of connect with. I wanted to show you what that was. So a communication, I'm going to move myself here. There we go. Renee created this for us. This is a flow chart of who gets what information. And so I kind of just explained it to you a little bit, but you need to make sure that you are communicating with the classroom teacher for every individual class taken through Lincoln Learning. So again, if a kiddo or a parent is calling you about content, send them back to the teacher at the end of that platform in that class. And so you can read the rest of it. I don't want to spend a lot of time reading every slide, but they're in there embedded for you so that they are live links and you can get in there. Let's look at progress monitoring. You are not these students' teacher, but they are our students. So we need to make sure that we're getting connected to them. If a student is not progressing in a timely fashion with their academics, that's when we need to step in and check in on them. We are checking in on them anyway, but if we're starting to see that they're lagging behind in their pacing guide and their responsibilities, we need to really reach out and say, hey, is everything okay? Something may have happened, and that's another way for you to connect with them. So we need to make sure that we're doing that. Michigan Virtual and Lincoln Learning teachers are grading. We are not responsible for grading anything. So if a parent or a kiddo comes to you and says, I don't know why I got this grade. Well, you don't know why either. So again, you're going to send them back to that teacher because the teacher is the primary person. At the end of the semester, we will be uploading grades into Skyward, and there'll be more communication about that. So don't worry about that just yet. We're a resource provider. So what are the students struggling with? We need to know. So please be attuned to their social emotional needs. their material needs, and then refer them to either Isabella or Renee. So if parents are asking for paper documents, the district has been very generous to print all these off for the teachers, or excuse me, parents if they need them. We just need to know that they need them. So please make sure, if you're hearing that from students or parents, that you know that we do that, but you need to fill out a student support form so that Renee or Isabella know that you need to do that. And that's on a resource page, and I'll show you that in a minute. All right, let's move on. So APEX mentor roles, I will not get into this a ton just because the APEX teachers that we have have experience and they know what they're doing. And so I'm not going to spend time there. Let's look at the expectations. Here are the expectations for every single mentor that we have. You need to create a Google Classroom for your students. And this will be kind of a place for an information hub. So any announcements that you have, I'm going to be posting a monthly newsletter to you guys so that you can upload it on your Google Classroom. Also, you can email it out to your people, the people that you're mentoring. Sorry about that. I thought I turned my phone off. Anyway. And so that's really important that you have a Google Classroom there set up so that, so for instance, in Michigan Virtual, students have to sign their syllabus for our high school teachers. And so they're uploading that onto the Google Classroom and making it a form that kids can just manipulate or type into so that we don't have to exchange paper. So there's reasons to have a Google Classroom. And for the lower levels, it might just be a place where you put announcements up, or maybe if you want to make it fun and do a dress up day, kids can upload their pictures and everybody can see each other. And it's just a way to connect them socially and emotionally. So the other expectation is to contact every student a minimum of once a month, except for during count week and count month. So count week, you're going to contact every student during the month, and I'll explain a little bit. There's a caveat there, so I'll explain that in a minute. So there's this thing called two-way communication. Two-way communication means a conversation. So when we put out a blanket email, that's a one-way communication. When somebody responds to that email, that makes it a two-way communication. And it is our responsibility to document two-way communications because that's how we get our funding. So it's really important, really key that you do that. You contact a student and the student replies. That's a two-way communication. We are required to have one two-way communication per month by the teacher of record, which is you. In our district, that's you, because we don't know the teachers from Lincoln Learning or Michigan Virtual. So it is up to you to be contacting these kiddos. Communication may be in the form of an email, telephone call, Zoom, text message, face-to-face conversation. Not so much usually with the virtual learners, but it's possible. Please refer to the allowable and not allowable documents on the resource page. I'll show you what that looks like. And that's going to be later on. You'll see that in the slideshow on our resource page. It's there for you. But there are certain things that are allowed. So let's look at the allowable list right here. Teachers send an email to a pupil asking about their progress in the course and when they plan to complete the course and take tests for the unit. Pupils respond that he or she plans to finish the course assignments on Thursday and take the test on Friday. See how there's very specific communication between you both. The example of not allowable is an assignment is turned in and the teacher does not give any feedback on the assignment. For example, what the student missed and why. So that's not your role. That's why it's not allowable. You are not the teacher. You do not comment on assignments necessarily. You don't comment on grades. You are simply checking in to see how the student is doing. And so I hope that helps with that. For the last bullet point, during count period, I'm going to read this because this comes specifically from the ISD, but then we'll break it down a little bit. Districts are required to document at least one two-way interaction between a student and one of their teachers for 4 consecutive weeks. So that's the whole month of October, beginning in the week that the count day falls on. So our count day is October 7th. So it would mean October 7th week, I think it starts on the 5th, all the way through the end of October. The name and photo associated with your Google account will be recorded when you upload files and submit. And what does that mean? Well, there's this form right here. This form is what you're going to track for your two-way communication. And I'll show you what that looks like. So it was sent to us by the ISD. And I'm going to click on this so you can bring it up here. This is where when a student responds back to you, You are going to document that with the student ID number, their first name, their last name, and whether it's a monthly or a weekly connection. So please make sure that you denote that, and that will also go up into the Google spreadsheet, which is right here. And what they mean by your face is, so it'll timestamp exactly what time you did that. It will have your name, your whatever picture appears on your Google account is what will appear somewhere. Maybe it will appear in the ISD. I'm not exactly sure where that will appear. It says it will appear on the form. So we'll just go with that. And then count day. So here's a great option for count day. So you know how when everybody's in the building, we try to do something fun, make sure everybody's here. Well, in order for us not to have to communicate with every single solitary student every week for 4 weeks, we need to make sure that you are communicating to your students, your virtual students, that they need to, on October 7th, they need to log on to every class and finish at least one assignment in that class. Now, they should be doing that every single day anyway, but we really need to drive that point home. We really need them to log on October 7th to every class and finish one assignment in every single class. This will save you a ton of paperwork. If students do this, we don't have to communicate for the next 4 weeks back and forth and back and forth. So we are free and clear if our students log on every day, to every class and complete one assignment on October 7th. For the kids that do not do that, that will be your responsibility to find them, find out who did not log on to all of their classes on that specific day or complete an assignment, and then you will have to do a two-way communication with those kids for the rest of the 4 weeks. Okay, so hopefully this will cut down on your paperwork. Finally, our student support system. So it's really important that we are tracking their academic support and their social emotional support. So if you notice a student is not making good academic progress in their virtual learning courses, please attempt 2 to 3 interventions with a student and or their parent, especially for the little kiddos. Interventions could include parent call, email, Zoom, etc. After 3 interventions, if you're finding a student is still not making good academic choices, please, please, please make sure that you are sending them through the student support. Here are the referral forms down here. There is one for Lincoln Learning. I'm waiting to get that one from Isabella, and I'll log that in, or I'll put that in for you. This will be the same for social emotional support. Attempt some tier 1 interventions with kids. That's connecting with student on Zoom, building a relationship with them. And after this, if you're still concerned about a student and his or her well-being, so maybe you're hearing comments that I just don't get this, I can't do this, I just don't know what to do, I'm not feeling connected to my peers, I don't ever get to see anybody, that's when you need to refer them to student support. We need to make sure that we're coming alongside these kiddos and making them feel like falcons and making them feel connected. So please make sure you're attuned to that. And then finally, here's our resource page. We're going to have everything here for you so that you can access it at all times. Okay, so we have our two-way communication log. We have the allowables, the not allowables, student support forms, creating a contact list in Google. This is Renee doing this for us. Yoo-hoo, it's so awesome. So she is teaching you a little tutorial about how to create this contact list in Google or Gmail, and then creating a reoccurring email. Some of you will do this through Google Classroom. She's going to teach you how to do it through Gmail. And also our communication protocols are there. So I know I went through that really fast, but it's here in documented form so that you can go back and check through it if you have any questions. If you have additional questions, please, please, please ask me. I'm not necessarily going to know the answer right away, but I will find it for you. Ask Jen Neal, she knows. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for being mentors. We're so thankful for you, and we know that it's going to be a great year for our virtual students as well. So thanks so much for your support.